something? Not much, but I've been reading these in a few places that I've traveled, and devotees like them. And although it's coming to a close, the month of December, in the places I had been reading them, it was around the end of November, the beginning of December, which is well known. It's a month that devotees, many places, dedicate their energies for increasing distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books. And some places it's month of December, or the Prabhupada Marathon is very prominent. It's a tradition. It goes on every year. Devotees mobilize themselves, especially those devotees in the temple, devotees who are distributing books. They increase their time out, travel more, and minimize time spent in maintenance of the body, and maximize the time spent with a mood of wanting to give this message that Prabhupada came to give to others. And devotees outside who are congregational members, they also try to give as much energy as they can possibly give, considering the other commitments that they have to this effort, by either taking books themselves and purchasing them and giving them to their friends, giving them to their colleagues, acquaintances, family members, or putting them in stores, smart boxes, or putting them in hotels and draws for people to read. And somehow or other, you never know how a person's life could change by getting the opportunity to come in contact with Srila Prabhupada's books. I often use myself as an example, as a personal testimony, that my first meeting with Prabhupada was Bhagavad Gita as it is in a bookstore. And I thought I was buying a book on yoga in the yoga section of the bookstore. And although I had been reading all kinds of Eastern philosophy, I didn't really go with the express purpose to purchase Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. But yet somehow purchased it, and started gradually reading it, and then something happened. And I'm sure many of you also have your own personal testimony of what happens when Prabhupada prays to Krishna, let them hear your message. Basically, because not everybody can hear, as we understand, although Prabhupada was compassionate and wanted everyone. But Prabhupada said himself, and I remember when he said this, he says, when you're selling jewels, not everybody, genuine jewels, not everybody wants to pay the price. So, Prabhupada said, yes, people can sell some cheap imitation, and people are very eager to go and to purchase it because it doesn't cost so much, because it's imitation. But if you want to buy something genuine, you have to, there's a price. So not everybody was ready to pay the price, purchase Prabhupada's books, and anyone who got Prabhupada's book was not ready to read it and invest their faith in Prabhupada's words, and therefore Prabhupada leaned over and said, even if you don't have faith that Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita, if you're going to read this book, just theoretically accept that Krishna's God and see what happens. He's bending over a little bit. He knows the power of Krishna's words. And somebody who may theoretically accept that Krishna's God and the speaker of Bhagavad Gita is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, if he just sets aside his previous disposition and just tries to read, he may somehow, a little faith may be awakened in his heart. So, Prabhupada really emphasized during his physical presence the importance of giving those who are less fortunate the opportunity to come in contact with Krishna in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita as it is in all of his books, with the hope that a sincere soul who is sincerely seeking for some meaning, some purpose to life, as Prabhupada explained to everybody here in this terrible place. If they don't know the meaning and purpose of life, they're wasting their time in so many other worldly pursuits. Prabhupada was so expert that he knew how to make the message understandable, because he prayed to Krishna, please, you give my words some meaning and make them understand. And because of that intense prayer, Bhagavad Gita became understandable, even though there were grammatical errors in Bhagavad Gita. Somehow, and right in the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada, in that one verse, that even though that the scriptures are imperfectly composed, still, and he, out of his humility, presented that I'm no scholar, I'm not qualified. These books are not perfectly composed, but somehow I'm simply following the order given to me by my spiritual master. And anyone who sincerely reads these books, then their hearts can change and they can create a revolution in the impious lives of a misdirected civilization, which is Prabhupada's revolutionary spirit. So, because of this importance of capturing that mood of trying to increase the distribution of Prabhupada's books and making others fortunate, recently I decided to read a collection. It's a very large collection of letters that were written by people who got Prabhupada's books. And most of these letters were collected, all the letters were collected actually in Russia. He was sent to the BBT at different times. But because I visited Moscow, I go to Moscow so frequently, I would oftentimes go to the BBT, and whenever they had new letters, I would request them, can you give them to me? And I would get some translated, or they would translate them and give them to me. And I gradually compiled a collection of letters. And they're quite profound, because they really so nicely illustrate what can Prabhupada's books do for someone. It's testimony, it's right there. Sometimes we go out and devotees, they may feel a sense of futility. Well, we've distributed so many books, So, but where's everybody? But when you read these letters, you see, here they are. Here they are. And the things that they've written, and they're very stimulating to the heart. And a lot of these letters were collected at the time when we really started to increase our distribution of books, when communism fell. Not all of them, but a lot of them came at that time. And at that time, of course, it wasn't, just prior to that, it wasn't so easy to distribute books. But then when communism fell, then people were standing in line to buy them. And I remember going out out to Moscow on the subways, because nobody at that time had any sense of whatsoever about advertising. There's no such thing as advertising in the Soviet Union. But because we were an international society, we got an idea that why don't we ride the crest of the wave, and why don't we do some advertising of Prabhupada's books? This is how the devotees in BBT were thinking. So they, this is before there were no billboards. You know, those were there. No billboards, no glitzy signs, no, just a few signs over the shops, you know. Clip, Moloko. So we thought, devotees of the BBT said, why don't we catch before everybody else catches on? Why don't we go for it, shoot for the rhinoceros? So they negotiated some contract with both the metro, the subway system, and with transportation, with the buses, and they made these signs, big signs for Prabhupada's books. And many of the buses had Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita on the side of the bus, and in all the subway stops in Moscow, there were big signs we had on the walls. We're the only advertising. There wasn't nothing else. There's nothing else. Big signs. So the devotees, what they did is they would go out in the subways with tables, and they fill up the tables with books, and they'd stand in front of the sign. Point to the sign. And, you know, a book distribution meant that time meant the greatest amount of energy that we had to focus on was keeping people in line. Because they would just like storm the tables. And Prabhupada's books were going out like anything. And that went on for quite a few years, actually. And it was at that time that a lot of people started writing to the BBT. We set up the BBT. You remember Yagi Garangu? You were around that? You came later, huh? Yeah. Yeah, anyways, I have pictures. I went around my camera, I shot many pictures of devotees of book tables. It's unfortunate, I only have a few of them now. I lost some of them. What it was like. Well, of course, the distribution still continues to this day, but not the same methodology is not there. Because if you go to Moscow, there's more advertisement there than probably any other city in the world. Yeah. They really caught on to the mood. In more ways than one. I mean, they're probably even more risque than advertising in America. But and to pay for that advertisement now is probably a lot more than what we were paying in 1991. So still many people wrote in. I used to have probably about 1,000 letters. Yeah, I don't have it now. Somehow this is kept on a computer, and a lot of the files got corrupted. I maybe have a couple hundred left. But I started reading them, and as I said, some of them are from back then, some of them from other times. Most of them are from back then, and I wanted to just read a few. Although it's not easy to read a few. I have some favorites, but I especially like that one with the 8-year-old girl. Maybe I should start.
Yeah. Make sure we get that in.
very interesting. I'll let you guess who she's talking about. I won't disclose it right away. She says, "Hello, I want you to send me 6 books about that woman. If they are in Russian, then please send them. If not, maybe you have a dictionary for the book. Goodbye. I'm looking forward to the books. I wish you all good luck in passing out these books to the good people. If you have some new books about that woman, please let me know. I like her image, and her beauty is unsurpassed in society." You know who the woman is yet? "Please give my sincere regards to all, for I know how difficult it is to send out these books." She didn't sign her name. There's another one. Oh, I picked up. Well, here's another one from 11 years ago. "My name is Olga, I'm 11. I received your postcard. I cannot send you money. My whole possession is 100 rubles. Please send me the cheapest book. My mother didn't allow me to order your books, but I write this letter secretly. I send you all the money I have. Please send me at least 1 book. I would beg from you on my knees, but I cannot see you. Sorry, I can't really write anymore because my mother is coming." Anyways, here's some. Mother works with KGB. "My name is Olga. I'm 11. Another Olga, 11. Oh, maybe it could be the same one. Just recently finished reading Krishna book, which I bought for the money from selling milk bottles. How can I join Krishna consciousness? If you want to make a test, I'm ready." And then she writes the answer to what she thinks the test might be. She said, "Krishna appeared in Mathura as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, who were imprisoned by the envious demon Kamsa. But then he was brought to Gokula Vrindavan and changed with a girl born from Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj, who was actually Yogamaya, and Krishna lived there for many years. He killed many demons like Putana, Vatsasura, and Vakasura. Finally, he kills king of the demons Kamsa and stays in Mathura, while other demon Dhritarashtra constantly disturbs him. Thus he builds a fortress called Dwarka. Then Krishna gets the message from Queen Rukmini, in which she asks Krishna to kidnap her. And Krishna kidnaps her right from the marriage ceremony. After that, he kills the demon Bhamasura and delivers 16,000 queens, who all become his wives. He expands himself into 16,000 forms of Krishna. And what happened after that? I'm eager to know." End of the letter. Okay, wait a minute. There's lots more. I'm just scratching the tip of the iceberg here. Dear friends, Hare Krishna, dear friends, kind and devotees of the Lord, I live in a small town and don't know a single person who is also a devotee. So there's only me and Bhagavad Gita. I bought the book by chance, just out of curiosity, and now I can't live without it. It is everything for me. My friend, my husband, my teacher, my helper, my consoler, my admiration, and surprises have no end. Hare Krishna. There's another one from Andre. I write to you with hope. 2 years ago I ordered Bhagavad Gita from you. At first I put it aside without even reading. Then in 1 year I opened it again, and now it's the most valuable thing I possess. Please send me more books. It's from Kazakhstan. This is a short letter. Please send me Bhagavad Gita. I'm 15 and I'm very unhappy. Maybe if you send me this book, my life will change. I'll be very grateful to you. With respect, Yelena. Dear editors, you are my last hope. Nowhere else I could find any compassion and understanding. I read 5 books by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I realized the goal of life and can't live the way I lived before. I can't even chant Mahamantra out of fear to be heard by my neighbors. Believe me, I can't stand it anymore. I want to serve only Krishna and nobody else. Hare Krishna. The deterioration of the body does not mean death. The real death is separation from God. Therefore, those who take birth in this material world are dead. They are killed by eternal death. And only a few start looking for God, and out of them only a few are able to find. But these few people are alive. People are really alive. Hare Krishna. This is a letter from someone called Valentine. Please send me your spiritual literature, which will help me to realize things which are completely unknown to me now. It is so difficult to live with an empty soul, especially when one is 70 years old. Please help me take a deeper breath, fill my soul with some sense. With deep respect, Valentine. Hare Krishna. Dear publishers, in May I received your reply to my letter in which I asked you to find a spiritual master for my son. While reading the book about Srila Prabhupada, tears of spiritual love to him were pouring out of my eyes. It was beyond all of my expectations. In other books, there's not much information about the spiritual master. I chant mantra for a year and a half, take prasad, and I read books. Hare Krishna. This is mostly just the family names here, so I'm not reading it. All glories to the Lord. I found your address. I would like to join your movement. By the mercy of the Lord, some months ago, one man knocked at my door and offered books to buy. I was happy to buy Bhagavad Gita, Science of Self-Realization, Krishna book, and Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. I've read them, and now I'm reading them again. Finally, I found out who I am, what is the purpose of my life, and what this world is all about. I want to serve Sri Krishna, our Lord, with all my heart. It's another letter from Moscow. My eldest son is 29. When he was 20, he came back from the army with a mental disease and with a diseased soul. He's tall and very handsome, but such a misfortune. The doctors cannot offer the remedy. Perhaps only God can help. We bought the New Testament, but he was not much impressed by it. He said that he never met people who really follow the orders of God, the pure percent Christians, and all this is just talking. 3 years later, we met the devotees of Krishna, who were distributing books near our house. My son took an interest and brought home 3 very beautiful books. Now we have a small library about the spiritual world and religion. He began to read Bhagavad Gita, then gave it to me. I accepted the book with my mind and soul because it explained to me everything very clearly about the world and my life. Yes, it is the whole science about religion, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I believed in God immediately and felt ashamed for my spiritual poverty and ignorance. I regret the wasted years of my life which I spent without God. My mother says, what do you get out of this Krishna? Take it out of your mind. How should I prove to her that for me Krishna is everything? Everything that one can get by his good luck. I'm happy that I have him, that I can consider him to be mine, and he's more than I have, and I'm his part. I thank you with all my heart. This is just a segment of a letter. I thank you with all my heart. In my opinion, in this difficult time when people have no faith in God and in anything secret, when everybody professes hypocrisy and indifference, you are making a miracle. You wake up people from their dream, giving them faith, and hope. Hello, I'm not a member of Hare Krishna movement, yet I'm trying to realize the truth, to attain spiritual perfection, take up the path of devotional service of God. With this purpose, I am now studying the Christian literatures and consider Jesus Christ to be my spiritual master. And with the same purpose, I bought Bhagavad Gita, being attracted to it by some unknown force, and began my studies. For 2 years already, I haven't opened a single mundane book. For 1 year exactly, I've been keeping a vegetarian life, I live a pious family life, and never in my life have taken any intoxication or gambled. With the help of Bhagavad Gita, I follow all the 4 regulative principles of devotional service. Of course, it's not all smooth, lots of mistakes, sometimes fall downs, but the Lord grants me strength and conviction again and again. Recently, I managed to get 2 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, 3 volumes, and this book struck me with its perfection and magnificence. Up until this moment, I lived in Tula and had the opportunity to get a new coming volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam. But now, me and my wife graduated from the Teachers Training Institute, and we went to work in a village. Thus I lost all the opportunities to buy the new cantos of this Purana and decided to write to this address which mentioned these books. I'm confident that the Lord will help me, and you will take my request into consideration. I am begging you to please help me with respect. This is from Tambov. Recently I was presented with a book called Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. I read it. What a wonderful book. Lord Chaitanya, by his unlimited transcendental potencies, indeed Sri Chaitanya is Lord Krishna himself, bestows love of Krishna to all the living entities. His teachings are so perfect that I think any person after reading and studying it will get a desire to take up devotional service to Lord Krishna. For me, now it is of primary importance to fix myself in this process. And Srila Prabhupada certainly helps me in the form of his books. I have 2 of them, Perfection of Yoga and Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. In general, I am grateful to all the devotees of Krishna for they open the people's eyes so that they can see their real self, their position in this world. I have known about this religion, Krishna consciousness, for a long time already, but I never think of it deeply. But this summer changed everything. I visited a lecture given by the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, and after some time realized that Krishna is the only goal in my life, and will always be like that. Hare Krishna. Anyways, there's more, but that I just wanted to give you a little glimpse. Like I said, because I have a lot of them, and my hope was, by reading these, obviously, is that if some of you feel so inclined somehow to take up and participate, I know Shankar Prabhu is always very eager to see that Prabhupada's books are distributed.
They're there to be taken by the cases. Kept them in the temple deliberately, so no one had to go downstairs to get them.
Just see, I didn't even know he was already thinking that way for tonight. Or they've already been there. Oh. So, if you feel so inspired to make somebody's life, or to change the course of somebody's life, and make somebody fortunate, I remember that Tamal Krishna Maharaj, one time, I think it was in New York in 1978, he was telling me that the Prabhupada told him, he says, when you take care of others, Krishna takes care of you. And he said Prabhupada told that to him, so he was sharing that with me. And if you bring one person, turn one person towards Krishna, save one person from Matirna Krishna Parataksvatobha, as Prahlad Maharaj says that most people are making progress towards hellish conditions of life and repeatedly chewed. Their inclinations towards Krishna are never roused either by their own efforts or by the efforts of others or by a combination of both. And he said because of their uncontrolled senses, persons very much attached to materialistic way of life, they make progress towards hellish conditions of life. So if we can change somebody's course of life, and then become dear to Prabhupada and dear to Krishna, and that's what Prabhupada came to teach us by changing our lives, and he said, now that you've become fortunate, make others fortunate. So this is a very good way to make others fortunate, by giving someone opportunity to associate with Srila Prabhupada in his books. I told this story before, but it's one of my favorite stories because I personally experienced this. It was a while back. I was traveling with Sridhar Maharaj. I told the story the other night. And Sridhar Maharaj and I were doing programs in people's homes, in temples. We usually did about 2 programs a day. He would give one lecture, and I would give the other. And we stopped in this city called Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was a very remote city. And it was the second program of the day, and Maharaj asked me to give the lecture there because it was at a devotee's home who used to be a devotee who lived in the Boston Temple, and I knew him. And he was married now, and he was living in Grand Rapids at the time, but there was no, devotees wouldn't go there, there's nothing, hardly anything going on in the city. So he decided to put some posters up in the city, and he put the address of his home on the poster, and invited people to come to his home for a lecture on Bhagavad Gita. So, because we were a little bit late from the previous program, I came in, and I immediately sat down, chanted Jai Radha Madhava, and that was it. Chanted it maybe once, and began speaking. And then, after my talk, I asked, does anybody have any questions? And one boy immediately, I could tell he was waiting the whole lecture. He wanted to ask his question. He immediately put his hand up really fast. And so I called on him because he was the first to raise his hand. So he said, can you tell me, am I pronouncing this properly? And then he went, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So he said, so is that the right way to pronounce it? So I said, yes, that's correct. Why do you ask? He said, because I still haven't heard anybody pronounce it. And he said, he lifted up a magazine, Back to Godhead, and he said that I found this magazine sitting on a bus here in Grand Rapids, and I read it, and inside the magazine there was an advertisement to send away for beads. So he sent away for them, and then somebody sent him the beads along with a little booklet instructing how to use the beads. And he said, and they said, I've learned from the booklet that you're supposed to chant each, and he held up these beads, and he said, you're supposed to chant each one of these beads, the whole mantra, and then you're supposed to do that 16 times. He said, I've been doing it for the last 10 years every day.
Wow.
But I never met anybody or heard anything about how it was properly pronounced, so I just was guessing that this is how you pronounce this mantra. He said, therefore I'm asking you, why have you been pronouncing it correctly? So So I said, yeah, of course, we immediately sat down and spoke to him. The devotee, his name was Murari Krishna, he's shocked. He didn't know. And Prabhupada said, he said, these books are like torpedoes, you never know where they're going to land. And I thought this was a perfect example. You know, here's somebody who's been chanting 16 hours a day for 10 years, never met a devotee. And this is, there's many other stories, but that's one of my favorites. But you know, somehow somebody's life can change. Of course, from that point on, you know, we sat and we talked to him, and he met the devotees whose home we visited and who continued to cultivate him. I don't know what happened to him later because we left and we went someplace else. Murari Krishna was definitely keeping in touch with him, hoping that maybe there might be some association finally in Grand Rapids, Michigan with this person. Anyways, that's just one example. And so if you feel so inclined to stop and give somebody a book, or to give them to your friends, or give to your colleagues at work, or to set up some smart boxes, or different stores or shops and put Prabhupada's books there. This is becoming very popular in many places. Devotees are doing it. We have in Boston, I think we had, how many? I think there was 75 smart boxes. They had something like that. And in Boston, mostly by smart boxes and doing events and putting up tables and things like that, they made a commitment, the devotees, that in 2010, they made a commitment at the beginning of the year to distribute 10,000 books in 2010. So they just, when I was there, they gave the results. They distributed 10,260 books like this in 2010. And they asked me, so can you set our goals for 2011? So I said, well, 10,000 in 2010, why not 11,000 in 2011? So that's their goal for 2011. Just by putting books in smart boxes, and they go out also. One devotee, with a few devotees, they go in the evening, sometimes on the weekends, and they go door to door and approach people in their homes and try to give them Prabhupada's books. So I've read these letters so that you can understand that distribution of these books there's fruit. There's fruit. So in that respect, I think we'll end. But we'd like to, today also we're giving initiation to one devotee who is very dedicated to this service. And, is he here? Where's Jean-Claude? Yes. So, no, there's not going to be any formal fire sacrifice or initiation, but we'll let you, in the presence of Shri Shivananda, take your vows, and when there's a fire sacrifice next in Canada, you can sit on the fire sacrifice. And Srila Prabhupada is very pleased by your desire to distribute his books, and hopefully now you'll be able to encourage and inspire others also to participate in this most important mission. Okay. I'll give it to him when I give a speech. Oh no, actually, I should do these first. Bag of gifts, so. You want to? All right, so what vows are you accepting today? So, on behalf of Srila Prabhupada and Guru Parampara, we accept him today as an initiated disciple. And we have given you the name Jai Sachinanda. All right.